Colin, we learned from the movie how important Trevor's dad was in her imagination. Do we know much about the man at all?
Very little.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know about we, but I know very little. Which I felt was my responsibility, having played him. Very broad strokes.
Yeah.
When he was born, where he was born, and where he died. How many children he had. The jobs that he had. Where he moved from and to. And I think working backwards from what Kelly Marcel found PL to be, and the PL she both fell in love with, and the PL that she was both hired by, I think she understood that the dramatic context of the relationship between father and daughter was probably one that was very gentle and very beautiful and also very destructive and very painful, and created and cut a deep canyon into her heart that then became that distressed, seemingly megalomaniacal, but not, just broken, fearful child in the body of a very erudite, very strong-willed woman later on in life. But it was all there in the script, and Kelly did such a wonderful job that, you know, just became like Duvall said in that film, I can't remember the name of it, Sing It Like You Mean It, and that was kind of it.
Tom, we know that Walt's dad was really a major figure for him, too. Did you, in any of your research about Walt, look into their history or their relationship?
I had read a biography of Walt Disney years ago, and in the course of, I went up to the family museum that's in San Francisco. If you're up there, it's in the Presidio. It's a magnificent place to spend 4 or 5 hours, which you easily can. And there's a ton of autobiographical and anecdotal information we have on it. And yes, he was very tight family, very, very Midwestern farm. His father could not get any sort of career going, so it was a very hard scrabble life at a time that, you know, not having a nickel meant, you know, you weren't really having all four. You might not eat 3 meals a day, and if you got a temperature, well, you could die from, you know, a fever, and it was a tough life, but one that he felt secure in all ways, but the financial one, I think. And I think there's a definitive reason why so many of the movies that Walt Disney really poured himself into is about creating a perfect yesteryear, you know, whether it's Pinocchio or Main Street USA, is a version of the joy, I think, that he always found in both in his imagination and the world that he lived in, and also the books that he read.
We restore order with imagination. We instill hope again and again and again.
Yeah! His dad and his mom were a part of his life. The moment he came into any sort of success, they came out. He took care of them forever. He had 2 brothers. One is his older brother, Roy, who was really the financial backbone of the Walt Disney Corporation. He kept the place solvent. But he also had another younger brother who was ended up being a postman. And in his later years, he actually wished he could have been the brother who was a postman, who just did his job, got a paycheck, and then went fishing on the weekends instead of having to worry about, you know, an empire and payrolls and building permits and whatnot. A very different sort of family than from what P.L. Travers came from.
Winds in the east, mist coming in, like something is brewing, about to begin.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are beginning our descent into Los Angeles.
Welcome, Mrs. P.L. Travers, to the City of Angels.
It smells like
Jasmine.
chlorine and sweat.
John, this movie is actually unique for being a studio movie shot here in California. They are increasingly rare. Can you talk a little bit about what it was like to shoot here? Was it helpful to be on the very lot where so much of this story took place?
It was a real treat to shoot here. I mean, I live here, so and also I think it carries over to the crew. The crews are fantastic here. people sleeping in their own bed and then showing up to work the next day. I don't know. There's something that builds a different kind of community than when you're on location. I felt, and I felt like everybody was in it for all the right reasons, and that. You know, when you talk about shooting at Disneyland or on the Disney lot, it's such an advantage. I mean, you pinch yourself over and over because, especially on the Disney lot, this is the exact place where a lot of these things occurred. You know, and Michael Kornblith, our production designer, built the interiors, but we tried to really be almost quasi-religious, you know, about how exactly we wanted them to appear, like old animation, et cetera, the backdrops, all that. But I don't know, it helped me. I mean, I'm not sure how you guys felt about it, but.
What was it like shooting at Disneyland?
Oh, that was fabulous. You know, when you're there and it's not open yet and the public is not there, it's a tiny place. The first thing you notice is like, wait a minute, the submarines are right there? You can walk from the submarines to Autopia to the line for the Matterhorn in 7 seconds. It's literally doink, doink, doink. It's not bigger than, it's astounding. And then when the park fills up during the course of the day, it seems like it's as big as Texas. But it was, I mean, for us to be there on that day and everybody's dressed up like it's 1961 and whatnot, it was like an e-ticket attraction. You could say, for an e-ticket, you get to come in dressed as Walt Disney and walk around Disney World. I'll pay that money. I'll do that.
Dad took us to Disneyland when I was 14 as well and kept saying, why do they call it a rest room? I don't want to take a rest. I'm not tired. I don't understand. Anyway, that was my father. You get the picture.
And that was his favorite ride, was it? In the restroom? Well, all right, interesting, yeah.
And the Australia sections are here too, right? Where was that?
Yeah, they were shot out in Simi Valley. Went down Allison Owen and shot out for Simi.
Yeah, give it up.
Vasquez Rocks, let's hear it. Vasquez Rock.
Allison Owen and I went down to Australia to visit the actual houses and towns where P.L. Travers lived, Maryborough and Allora. And with the thought that we'd probably go to Australia and shoot there, the architecture has changed dramatically in those two places. So even if you were in Queensland, you would have to find some place other than the actual towns where the story took place. But still, we wanted to be authentic and didn't want to Disney-fy it in a way. We wanted to, you know, to pay homage to the Australian part of the story. But when we came back and got in a van and started looking around, and I saw rolling brown hills, sheep country, just that it was a different kind of beauty, but it looked kind of exactly like Allora, which is rolling hills, the pastels, the pastels in the skies, the browns and dark greens, and I don't know, it felt the same, and I thought we should use our money elsewhere instead of traipsing off to Australia.
It looked exactly like the place where Captain Kirk wrestled with the Gorn. Which is also a dead ringer for Australia and Vasquez Rocks. I think it's amazing.